Here we are replaying the 1970 World Series, and you're joining us at Combat Painter's Winter Tabletop Baseball series of World Series contests from the late 60s, mid 60s to early 70s, mid 70s. We're using Stratomatic basic rules, and the two teams playing are the Orioles versus the Reds at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. It's October 10th, 1970. 1970, the year the Concorde took its first flight, the Chicago Seven were found guilty. The U.S. and the U.K. lower voting age requirements to 18. 100,000 people demonstrate in Washington, D.C. against the Vietnam War. It's the first Earth Day, and the Beatles disband. 1970. But most importantly, it's the Orioles versus the Reds in the World Series, Game 1. It's Jim Palmer. Jim Palmer, in 1970, 120, lost 10 with a 271 ERA, pitched 305 innings. And he's going up against Gary Nolan for the home team. Gary Nolan was 18-7 with a 3.26 ERA, pitching 251 innings. The good old days when pitchers actually pitched the whole game. And we're going to get started right away. We're going to bring up Don Buford to bat. Don Buford for the Orioles. He batted 272, 15 doubles, 2 triples, and 17 home runs. So here's the pitch. And it's Buford 2-9. Going to be ball 4. So Buford's on at first. And Buford's a B base stealer. And it's going to be Paul Blair against Gary Nolan. It's a 110. It's a high fly infield to the left side. It's going to be Woodward, the shortstop. 1 away. Batting third is Boog Powell. Boog Powell batted 297, 28 doubles, no triples, 35 home runs. Boog Powell. These cards are from a special series of great teams or great series or something to that effect. But these got a little sliced at the edge a little bit, so it's cutting it pretty close there to the letter B on Boog Powell's name. Okay, here's the pitch from Nolan, and it's a 2-9. A 2-9 takes us to a ground ball hit hard right at the second baseman, Helms. Helms flips over to Woodward, back to first, and that's a double play. It's a 4-6-3, and we go to the bottom of the first. No score. Pete Rose, the Pete Rose, and he batted 316, 37 doubles, 9 triples, and 15 home runs. And here's the pitch from Palmer. Let's switch these cards over a little bit. It's important to do that so we don't read off the wrong card. And it's going to be off Palmer's card, and that's a 4-11. Let's grab that and bring it to a 4-11 is going to be a ground ball pitcher X. Palmer's a 3. It's a 14. And that's one that Palmer just can't handle. And Rose is on at first. Rose is a B base dealer, so he has a potential to go depending on the situation. And it's Bobby Tolan. Bobby Tolan, great pickup for the Reds. 316 average, 34 doubles, 6 triples, 16 home runs. He's a double-A stealer. I believe he led the league in steals that year. And it's a 6-10, so that's off Palmer's card. A 6-10 is ball 4. So the Reds are threatening here in the bottom of the first inning. They have first and second, and it's going to be Tony Perez. The pitch to Perez is off Palmer's card again, 6-11. It's a fly ball left field X. The left fielder is Buford, who's a 3. And it's a 20-sided 14, so a 3 under 14 is going to be an out, and the runners are going to hold. So Buford makes the catch, and that's one away. And we go to Johnny Bench. And it's a 6-6. Again, off Palmer's card, a 6-6. It's going to be a line drive base hit for Bench. And they're going to send Rose. Rose is a 16 running. And that's a 16. Did not look at that. And he's safe. And Tolan will follow him into third. The throw home is late. RBI single by Bench. Bench is on at first. And it's first and third with one out against Jim Palmer. And it's Lee May. And it's 5-7. 5-7 is a strikeout. Lee May goes down swinging. 2 away. And it's Bernie Carbo, the rookie. And it's 2-6. It's going to be off Carbo's card, and that's a strikeout. So Palmer gets back on track after the walk and the hit, and Rose scored on an error, or reached on the error by Palmer. And the Reds pick up 1 run. I actually wrote none. We'll pick up 1 run here in the bottom of the first. We go to the top of the second. And it's 1-0 Reds. It's going to be Frank Robinson against Gary Nolan. Tricky to lift these cards. Don't really have a plastic sleeve to fit them. It's 5-8. It's a fly ball to right field. And Rose makes the catch. Brooks Robinson, 2-7. It's a ground ball to the third baseman, Perez. Perez over to first, 2 away. And Ellie Hendricks. And it's a 6-5. 6-5 is a walk, so Elrod is on at first on a base on balls, 2 away. It's going to be Davey Johnson. Davey Johnson batted .281, 27 doubles, 1 triple, and 10 home runs. And it's a 3-4. A 3-4 is going to be a ground ball to the third baseman, over to second for the force. And we go to the bottom of the second inning. 1-0 Reds. Tommy Helms. 3-9. 3-9 is going to be a ground ball to the shortstop. Shortstop Belanger over to first. 1 away. Woodward, shortstop, 6-6, line drive base hit. Woodward is on at first with a single. Nolan is going to bunt. 7, that should be batters thrown out at first. That's a successful sacrifice. And at second, you have Woodward, and it's Pete Rose with 2 outs. Runner in scoring position. Here's the pitch from Palmer. And it's a 1-4. A 1-4 is a line drive base hit. Pete Rose. And scoring from second is Woodward. Rose on at first, then gets himself an RBI, and it's 2-0 Reds. And now it's Bobby Tolan. Palmer looks in for the sign. Sets and deals. And it's swung on. And it's missed. Swing and a miss. Third strikeout for Palmer. And that's the end of the bottom of the second inning. But the Reds pick up one big run on the RBI single by Rose. And we go to the top of the third. 2-0 Reds. It's going to be Mark Belanger, the pitcher, Palmer, and Buford. Here in the top of the third. It's off Nolan's card, a 5-11. It's a ground ball to the first baseman. And May is a 3. May is a 3. Yes, he is. He's a 3, and that's a 10. 3-10. It's going to be a ball that May handles easily. 1 away. Palmer as a hitter is a 1, so we're going to have to pull out the pitcher's hitting card number 1. Flip this over. It's on the other side here. And it's going to be the pitcher batting. Here's the pitch. It's 6-8. It's a walk. So Palmer manages a walk. And I know that Nolan's not happy about that. Walking the pitcher. So it's Don Buford. The pitch to Buford with a runner on first. It's a 1-2. And that on Buford's car is a walk. So back-to-back walks by Gary Nolan. And that brings the go-ahead run to the plate in Paul Blair. Paul Blair batted .267 with 24 doubles, 2 triples, and 18 home runs. He's an outstanding center fielder. So Gary checks in for the sign. He sets and he deals, and the pitch is going to be a 1-4. A 1-4 to Paul Blair. It's a ball swung on and hit deep to center field. And it looks like that ball is out of here. And that's a 3-run shot by Paul Blair. Nolan could do nothing about that. Just look up. It's a 3-run home run, and that gives the Orioles the lead here in the top of the third inning. It's Boog Powell, and it's 6-5. 6-5 is a walk ball 4. So that's going to bring out Earl Weaver to have a quick talk with, that's going to bring out Sparky Anderson to have a quick talk with Gary Nolan. Frank Robinson, he hit .306 with 24 doubles, 1 triple, 25 home runs, and he's coming to bat with 1 out here in the top of the third. The Orioles lead it by a score of 3-2 on a 3-run homer by Paul Blair. And here's the pitch by Nolan, and it's a 5-6. A 5-6 is going to be a ground ball to the shortstop, X. The shortstop is Woodward, who's a 3. And we rolled a 17. A 3-17 is going to be an out. But it's a 4, so if no runners are forced, that's what it says. No runners are forced, runners hold. With 1 or more runners forced, batter is safe. Disregard previous results. So it's a force out, basically, to the shortstop. So it's 6-4. Fielder's choice. And Frank Robinson's on at first. There's 2 outs now. And it's Brooks Robinson who's 0 for 1 on the day. Here's the pitch to Brooks Robinson. It's 6-8, and that's going to be a walk. So basically, Gary Nolan has just lost his control here in the top of the third inning. That's the 4th walk of the inning. And it's going to be Elrod Hendricks. Elrod Hendricks batted .242 with 9 doubles, 0 triples, and 12 home runs. So there's action in the Reds bullpen very quickly, very early here in the game. And it's going to be a 2-11. A 2-11 is a ground ball to the second baseman. And that's Helms. Helms flips it over to Woodward. And the Reds are out of the inning. but they score 3 big runs and take the lead, and they leave 2 on base. We go to the bottom of the third, 3-2 Orioles. It's going to be Tony Perez. Tony Perez against Jim Palmer. And 6-9. 6-9 is a strikeout, so Perez strikes out. And it's Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench batted .293 with 35 doubles, 4 triples, and 45 home runs. What a year for Johnny Bench. And what's fascinating about his card is look at all the positions he can play. He was quite athletic. If you look, he's a catcher, first baseman, third baseman, second baseman, left fielder, center fielder. He even played center field, so he would fit in perfectly with the players of today. So it's a 3-7. 3-7 on Bench's card. It's a line, it's a split. It's a line drive, base hit, single up the middle for John Bench. Gets good wood on that one and sends a frozen rope into center field. And it's Lee May now off Palmer's card. 4-2. It's a ground ball back to Palmer. Palmer turns around and hits Belanger back to first, but not in time. So it's a fielder's choice, and May beats it out. May doesn't have much speed, but he did hustle down the line on that one. Bernie Carbo, rookie, and it's 6-4. 6-4 is a fly ball to center. Blair is there, and we go to the top of the fourth. No runs, 1 hit. 3-2 Orioles. It's Dave Johnson facing Gary Nolan. Gary Nolan had a rough third inning. He walked 4 and gave up a 3-run home run to Paul Blair. Here's Davey Johnson, who's 0 for 1 on the day. It's a 3-5. A 3-5 is a fly ball center field. Center fielder Tolan hustles over. 1 away. Belanger, 3-9. 3-9. That's a swing and a miss. Strike 3. And that's the first strikeout, it looks like. The first strikeout for Nolan. And now it's the pitcher, Palmer. Palmer, I believe, is a 1. Yeah. And it's a 2-7. A 2-7 is strike 3. We go to the bottom of the fourth. 3-2 Orioles. And Palmer on the mound for the Orioles. He will be facing Tommy Helms, Woody Woodward, and Gary Nolan. So it's a 5-3. It's a ground ball, shortstop X. Shortstop is Belanger, who's a 2. We rolled a 12. That's an out. 6-3. Woodward. Here's the pitch from Palmer. It's a 5-6. 5-6 is a ground ball, shortstop X13. Also Belanger, 13, is again a ball that Belanger gets over to first, 2 away. And Nolan, Gary Nolan, is a 2 batter, so we're going to flip over this pitcher batting card. And it's a 6-6-6-6-6, the evil number. And it's a ground ball back to Nolan. Back to Palmer, who plays it, flips it to the first baseman, and we go to the top of the fifth. 3-2, Orioles lead it. It's going to be Blair leading off against Nolan. And it's a 6-9. A 6-9 is a split. It's going to be a line drive, base hit for Paul Blair. Got through the infield. The second baseman made a stab at it, but just could not reach it. And it's going to be Boog Powell, who's, That was Don Buford with the single, and now it's Paul Blair. Excuse me. And it's a 4-8. It's going to be off Nolan's card. A 4-8. It's going to be a split 14 as a line drive base hit. And hustling over to third is going to be Buford. So back-to-back singles here in the top of the fifth inning. Is going to bring up Boog Powell. Nobody's out, and runners on first and third. And it looks like Clay Carroll is going to be coming in. Clay Carroll will be replacing Gary Nolan. Okay, so Gary Nolan is out, replaced by Clay Carroll. And Boog Powell with runners on first and third in the top of the fifth. Here's the pitch. It's 1-8. A 1-8 is a split. And that swung on and hit deep to center field. And going back is the center fielder, Toland, to the track, to the fence. He looks up, and that's gone. Boog Powell. A 3-run home run by Boog. And that scores 3 runs. Powell gets credited with 3 RBIs, and that makes the score 6-2. So Clay Carroll gives up a gopher ball against the first batter he faces. And now it's Frank Robinson. 5-6. It's a fly ball. Center field. Toland gets to this one easily. That's 1 away. And now it's 1-7. 1-7 is a split. That's going to be a line drive base hit. And Brooks Robinson is at first base with a single. Elrod Hendricks. And it's a 3-8. It's a ground ball to the shortstop. Woodward over to second, back to first. 6-4-3. Double play. But the damage has been done. The Orioles score 3 more runs, lead at 6-2, going to the bottom of the fifth. Leading off, it's going to be Pete Rose against Jim Palmer in the bottom of the fifth inning. That's a 1-5. It's a line drive base hit for Rose. It's his second hit of the game. He is now 2-for-3. Reached all 3 times. Bobby Toland. It's 1-7. It's a ground ball to first base. First baseman's over to short, and that's a fielder's choice. And we go to Tony Perez with Toland on at first. And that's a ground ball hit hard right at Robinson, over to second, back to first, and that's a double play. You are tuning in to the 1970 World Series between the Orioles and the Reds. It's October 10th, 1970. The score is 6-2 Orioles. And we go to the top of the sixth inning. It's Davey Johnson, Mark Belanger, and Jim Palmer, the batters, against Gary Nolan. And it's a 3-7. It's going to be a fly ball to the right fielder, Rose. He gets there easily, 1 away. And Belanger is 0-for-2 on the day. It's a 1-5. A 1-5 is a ground out to the shortstop. And now it's the pitcher. And I believe Palmer's a 1, so we flip this over. And it's a 1-8. A 1-8 is a swing and a miss, strike 3. That's the first strikeout for Carroll. And we go to the bottom of the sixth. 6-2 Orioles. It's going to be Johnny Bench against Jim Palmer. Bench is 2 for 2 and drove in a run. Gonna have to wait a little bit to see if Johnny Bench gets his third hit. And it's off Palmer's card, a 4-8. A 4-8 is going to be a fly ball to the center fielder, Blair. And it's going to be Lee May, who's 0 for 2 on the day. Here's the pitch. And it's a 1-6. A 1-6 is a swing and a miss. It's a strikeout. And that's the 5th strikeout for Palmer. And it's Bernie Carbo. Bernie Carbo's 0 for 2, struck out and flied out. And it's a 6-4. It's a fly ball center field. Blair is there. We go to the top of the 7th. 6-2 Orioles. You are watching Game 1 of the 1970 World Series between the Orioles and the Reds at Riverfront Stadium. Don Buford against Clay Carroll. And it's a 4-8. 4-8 is going to be a fly ball to the right fielder, Rose, one away. And it's going to be Blair, who's 2 for 3. He homered and singled, scored twice, and drove in 3 runs. Paul Blair. And it's off Carroll's card, a 6-6, and that's a line drive base hit for Blair. He's on at first, and that's his 3rd hit of the game. It's Boog Powell, who's 1 for 2. He hit into a double play, walked, and then later hit a 3-run home run. This is a 5-8. A 5-8 is a ground ball to the shortstop. Woodward is a 3, and then we rolled a 1, and that's a single, and runner advances 2 bases. So Blair goes to 3rd, and Powell is on with his 2nd hit, 1st and 3rd now, against Clay Carroll. Let's fill in these boxes to know that Clay Carroll is still in there. Clay Carroll is still in there, but it looks like there may be a change. It's going to be Wayne Granger. Granger's going to come in, and that's going to be a double switch. So Granger is going into Carbo's slot. Carbo is out, and Hal McRae is going to replace. Going to go into the pitcher slot. So Granger's in there now. Clay Carroll has been replaced. And we're going to grab a blue marker. So good old Granger will be in blue. See what happens here. He'll go at least 4 batters. Wayne Granger. And he's going to be facing Frank Robinson with runners on 1st and 3rd. Frank Robinson is 0 for 3. He flied out, hit into a fielder's choice, and then flied out again. Here's the pitch to Frank Robinson. It's off Granger's card, a 6-7. So that's a split die, and that's a line drive base hit for Robinson. That's going to drive in a run, the 7th run. It's going to send Powell to 2nd. So it's 7-2 now, Orioles. And it's Brooks Robinson against Granger. 3-3. 3-3 is going to be a fly ball left field. And that's going to be McRae out there. And it's Elrod Hendricks with one out, with two outs actually in the top of the seventh. And that's a 4-8, 4-8 off Granger's card. It's a fly ball to left field again, and that's McRae. The Orioles pick up one run here in the top of the seventh inning on 1, 2, 3 hits, and they lead it 7-2. We go to the bottom of the seventh. Palmer will be pitching to Tommy Helms, Woodward, and Hal McRae. It's 2-7. It's a line drive base hit for Tommy Helms. He's 1 for 3 now. On at first. And it's going to be Woody Woodward. It's a 2-5. A 2-5 is a line drive base hit. Helms is going to stop at second, down by 5 runs. First and second now. McRae, the batter. Hal McRae batted .248 with 6 doubles, 1 triple, and 8 home runs. And it's going to be a 4-6 against Palmer. 4-6, and it's a pop-up in the infield to the right side. First baseman Powell is there. That's 1 away. Now it's Pete Rose. Pete Rose is coming up here in the bottom of the seventh with 2 runners on. Helms is on at second. Woodward is on at first. Rose is 2 for 3 on the day. Drove in a run in the second inning. Here's the pitch to Rose. It's off Palmer's card. 5-12. It's going to be a ground ball second base X. The second baseman, Johnson, is a 2. We rolled an 11, and that's going to be a 4-6-3 double play. And the Orioles are out of the inning. And they get 2 hits but score none. They leave 2. Go to the top of the 8th. Bobby Tolan is in center field for the Reds. And we go to Davy Johnson leading off the top of the 8th inning for the Orioles against Wayne Granger. It's going to be 3-3. 3-3 is going to be a ground ball to the third baseman, Perez, over to first. 1 away. Mark Belanger, who's 0 for 3 on the day. It's off Wayne Granger's card, an 8-5-8. It's a line out to the first baseman. 2 away. So Perez, first baseman is May. May handle that. And it's going to be the pitcher, Palmer. Palmer, I believe, is a 1. So we have that there. And that's going to be a 3-7. A 3-7 is a ground ball to Helms. Helms over to first. And we go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 7-2 Orioles. It's going to be Tolan. Tolan is 0 for 2. He walked, struck out, and grounded out against Jim Palmer. Off Palmer's card is a 5-11, and that's going to be a strikeout. Palmer's 6th strikeout. So he gets Tolan. Tony Perez is 0 for 3. Flied out, struck out, and grounded into a double play. Again off Palmer's card, it's a 6-4. It's a fly ball to Blair. Blair, that's 2 away. And Johnny Bench is 2 for 3 with an RBI. And it's off Bench's card, a 3-9, and that's going to be a split, so it's a line drive, base hit, single for Bench. That's his 3rd single of the game. and it's Lee May. 2 outs, the bottom of the 8th. Run around first. Soft Palmer, 4-8. It's going to be a fly ball. That's going to be to Blair in center. And we go to top of the 9th. Score is still 7-2, Orioles. It's going to be leadoff batter Buford against Granger. Against Granger. Granger's in there. And it's a 3-3. 3-3 is going to ground ball to the second baseman, Helms. And that is 1 away. Paul Blair. Blair is 3 for 4 on the day, 2 singles and a home run, a 3-run home run. He scored 3 times. And it's 2-2. It's a hard hit ground ball right at Woodward. Woodward across the diamond. And that is 2 away in the top of the 9th. And it's Boog Powell. Powell is 2 for 3. Hit a 3-run home run and singled. He walked. And it's a 2-8. A 2-8 is a ground ball right at Woodward. Again, handles it easily. And we go to the bottom of the 9th. 7-2 Orioles. And leading off is going to be the pitcher, so we're going to have a pinch hitter for the Reds. It's going to be Jimmy Stewart. So Stewart for Granger in a bottom of the 9th. Don't really have to write bottom because we know. And it's going to be Stewart against Jim Palmer, who's still in there. Put that A, big A there. Tells me there's a pinch hitter. And that's a 5-8. It's on Palmer's card. Let's look what that is. 5-8 is going to be a ground ball to the second baseman. X, the second baseman is Johnson. It's a 1. Johnson is a 2. So that's a base hit. So pinch hitter, Stewart. Jimmy Stewart. A Wonderful Life, Jimmy Stewart. I did not know he played on this team in 1970. I thought he was an actor, but he is at first base right now with a pinch hit single in the bottom of the 9th. The score is 7-2 Orioles. And it's Tommy Helms, who is 1 for 3 on the day. Here's the pitch from Palmer, 2-7. That's a base hit. And Stewart is going to stop at second. So first and second here against Palmer. Palmer's still in there. Woodward. And it's a 5-6. A 5-6 is a ground ball shortstop X. The shortstop is Belanger, a 2. It's a 10-2. And that's going to be a throwing error. And Belanger gets to the ball, but sends it over the head of Powell. And that goes into the stands. And that's going to send Stewart home. Helms to third. And Belanger is going to be at second with a Woodward is going to be at second base with a 2-base error by Belanger. And up is Hal McRae, and we're going to bring in some relief. Pete Rickert is going to come in. Pete Rickert is going to come in. Going to color him in pink. So Rickert is in there. That should be enough to get us out of the game. It is now 7-3. There's runners on first and third. There's nobody out. And it's Hal McRae. And it's 5-7 off Rickert's card. 5-7. And that's ball 4. Bases are loaded for the Reds. So the tying run is at the plate in Pete Rose. Pete Rose is 2 for 4. Single twice, and he's driven in a run. He's scored. And it's Pete Rose with the bases loaded, nobody out, in the bottom of the ninth inning in Game 1 of the 1970 World Series. The score is Orioles 7 and the Reds 3. So Rose is the tying run. And Pete Rickert had a 7-2 one-loss record with a 1.96 ERA in 55 innings pitched. Here's the pitch to Rose. So 1-8. 1-8 is going to be a line drive. And it's in the gap, but it's quickly cut off by the center fielder. But that's going to score 2 runs. So the score now is 7-5 Reds. So Pete Rose comes through in the clutch with a 2-run single. It scores Helms, it scores Woodward, and McRae goes to third. So now we have first and third. The tying run is at first base. It is 7-5. And Bobby Tolan, the batter against Pete Rickert. Bobby Tolan on the day is 0 for 3. He walked, struck out, grounded out, and struck out again. And here's the pitch to Tolan. It's off Tolan's card. It's a 2-6. A 2-6 is a line drive base hit. And that scores McRae. And it's a 7-6 ball game. And Rose, with nobody out, is going to stop at second base. RBI single by Tolan. Still nobody out in this inning. Pete Rickert has allowed a walk and 2 singles, and up comes Tony Perez. Tony Perez batted .317 with 28 doubles, 6 triples, and 40 home runs. This is the Big Red Machine. No lead is safe when the Big Red Machine is running on turbocharge like they are right now. So here's the pitch by Rickert and the swing by Perez, and it's a hard hit ground ball right at the shortstop Belanger, and it's going to be a 4. Belanger's a 2, and it's going to be a ground ball that Belanger has to go to first. And that's going to allow Rose to third and Tolan to second. So the runners move up. It's second and third now. The tying run is at third base in Rose. The go-ahead run is at second, scoring position in Toland, and it's going to be John Bench, who's 3 for 4 on the day. They're going to intentionally walk Bench. Bench batted .293 with 35 doubles, 4 triples, and 45 home runs. What a 1-2 punch between Perez and Bench. Now it's going to be Lee May, and he's not a slouch. He batted .253 with 34 doubles, 2 triples, and 34 home runs. The infield is going to be in, and it's going to be Pete Rickert now. 1 out with the infield in, and it's a 1-7. A 1-7 is a ground ball. We're going to look on the infield in. Ground ball A, runner on third holds, other runners advance 1 base. So it's going to be a force out at home. Ground ball fielding chart. In bases loaded situation, except for 3 instances, the runner on third is out. The batter is safe. Other runners advance 1 base. The following exceptions: ground ball resulting in a hit or an error, followed by double cross. Okay. So basically, it's a force out at home. So Rose is out. Tolan advances. Bench advances, and May is on a fielder's choice. So the bases are still loaded. There are 2 outs, and it's going to be Jimmy Stewart, who started off the bottom of the 9th inning with a single. He's back to the plate against Pete Rickert. Now the infield is back, and here's the pitch to Stewart, and it's a 1-8, a 1-8, and that's a high fly in the infield to the left side, and that's going to be Belanger calling for it, and that's the third out, and that's all she wrote. The Reds come back, scoring 4 runs, but they fall one shy, and the final score is going to be the Orioles 7 and the Big Red Machine 6. So a tremendous victory for Palmer. It's a save for Rickert. The loss is going to go to Nolan. And great game with a great finish. Never expected that. In the end there, the Orioles just could not get an out. So I hope you enjoyed the game. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and like and comment. It's greatly appreciated. You are tuning into Combat Painter's Winter Tabletop Baseball channel, replaying the 60s and 70s World Series. Take care now.